Hi everyone, it's Monica. Nice to meet you, or nice to see you again if you already know me. Here we are, we're doing the little intro video, and then I'll go through your questions that you have so kindly posted and try to answer them as best as I can. I will let you know this is take 2 or 3, I've lost count. My light went off in the middle of recording. I tried carrying on with the lamp. It didn't look right, didn't feel right. So I just thought, you know what, let's just redo it. But yeah, this is Monica. You may know me from Pisces Tarot and Advice or Advice to Think Twice. Those are my 2 channels on YouTube. And yeah, I just wanted to come on camera real quick. I don't do that very often, to say hi or hi again. And yeah, I'm just going to go through your questions, a little intro about myself. I've been reading tarot for about 21, 22 years. Started way back when I think I was just starting high school, if I remember correctly. But before tarot, my grandmother taught me how to read playing cards when I was about, I don't know, 8, 9, I think. So yeah, I've kind of always been a reader of some sort. Yeah, excuse the background. I have to keep the door open because the boys go in and out. That's their executive chair. You can see in the back there, where they like to sit and supervise as I do readings. They'll probably make an appearance. But yeah, I don't know what else to tell you about me. Other than, you know, I can only speak for myself. I use tarot as a tool for self-help or self-discovery. Not so much predictive, because I'm a strong believer that we have free will and that is a gift, but also responsibility. So that's how I approach it. I know other people do other things. That's not my concern. I ask questions like, what can I do to, oh, that's Charlie. Rather than saying, when is this going to happen for me, I would ask, what can I do to make this happen for myself? Or what can I do to make this happen faster or easier? Or what is it I'm doing that is harming me or damaging what I'm actually trying to achieve, right? So I take a different spin on things rather than predictive. You ask me, when is this going to happen for me? I'll ask you, when are you going to make it happen? It depends, right? And that's just how I work. That's just how I do things. Because I'm a firm believer that, you know, like I say, we all have free will and we should use it. We should exercise that gift and that power, and we should be empowered in our own lives and make decisions for ourselves and figure things out for ourselves. Make things happen for ourselves. It's not to say we never need anyone else and we never, you know, accept help, support, input, etc. But we are the ones making the decisions. We are the ones taking accountability and responsibility, you know, for our actions. And that's just how I feel. That's just how I function. That's just how I've always been. All that being said, let's jump into the questions. YouTube doesn't give me usernames anymore, which is great and very helpful. So I can't really give you a shout out, unfortunately. I'll do the best I can, okay? But yeah, let's just get started, and please comment, let me know if I've answered your question. If I haven't, if you want to do a follow-up, if you have any other questions you want to look at, I don't know. And we can do more of these videos, okay, if you like them and you find them useful. Okay, let's begin. Sea Junkie, hi. How did you come to reading tarot, and do you receive messages through any clear gifts? Hi, and thank you for your question. Honestly, I came to tarot, it screamed at me from a window. I was walking past a bookshop, there was something in there, there was like a deck in the window, and then a book, and I literally just stopped, went around, did a double take, and said, oh, I wonder what that is. I went in, bought it, went home with it, and started reading it, like reading the book, looking at the cards. That was, honestly, that was it, right? That was it. I didn't even know about it, I didn't even know what it was, but that's how I came to it. And yeah, I just kept practicing and studying and learning ever since, because I believe school is never out. I can still read the book list that new decks come with. I'll still read those, or the actual books, because an author did some time, put some time in, made a lot of effort to put that book together. So I want to show respect, even if they'll never know it. But also, I'm interested in their input. I'm interested in their perspective. I'm interested to see why they chose portray a card the way they did, right? And it can only add to my understanding of that card. It can add a nuance. It can add some new words I can use. Yes, mommy. Okay. And that's Charlie. Look at him. I'm sorry. They're my babies. Baby talk is going to come out. If that's an issue for you, I can't help you. But most of you are really, really lovely, and you say you love them just as much as I do, so that's always good to hear. And it's not nice they're making an appearance for you guys as well, okay? All right. Do you receive any messages through any clear gifts? I think I've always been clear cognizant, to where I just know things. Don't know how I know them, where I know them from. Spirit guides, spiritual realm, past life experiences. I'll use references that in my mind make perfect sense, and then people look at me funny, and then I have to go, wait, why is that weird for you? Like I was explaining to, can't remember what it was, my brother, when he came in to look after the boys when I was traveling, and I had to teach them how to clean, you know, their bathroom, so to speak. And I was explaining to him, and I told him it's like panning for gold. And he looked at me like, what? He says, it's like panning for gold. What do you mean? What is that? How is that confusing? Right? As if it's common knowledge, current information. And he just looked at me like, where did you get that from? And I just stopped and thought, wait a minute, where did I get that from? That is ancient. Not ancient, but you know what I mean? Like, who says that? Where even did I get that? As if it's like commonplace. I use that all the time. I know exactly what that is. I do that every day, right? And that's just one example. Yeah, so claircognizance, clairvoyance. Sometimes I see things. Clairaudience. Sometimes I'll hear things. Sometimes I suppose clairsentient, or is it clairsentience when you touch things? Is it sense, or is that more like claircognizance? I'm not sure now. Sometimes I get messages from touching things. I think is it psychometry? Psychometry, I think. I'm not sure now. But yeah, those are the main clairs in my life so far that I've seen, worked with. Things are always changing and developing. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, and thank you for it. Okay, Kathleen, you're always so lovely and so funny. I really, really appreciate you. This will be super fun. You are super fun. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope so. Sometimes I think I'm entertaining, so it's nice when other people say it as well, because I'm like, oh, cool, I'm not making it up. You know, that person who thinks they're funny, but then everyone thinks they're not. I don't want to be that person, so thank you. Okay, moving on. Now, this just tells me a user, and then letters and numbers. So I'm sorry I can't give you a shout out. I see your picture. You're very pretty. So it says, you say, yes, can low vibrational beings or energy come in from doing tarot? I see a lot of people using protection stones. Not sure if they're superstitious or being cautious for that reason. Short answer, no. It does not come in from doing tarot. It can come in from doing any sort of energetic work, okay? Because when you open yourself to energetic work, you can't really control what comes in. You can define it up to a point. You can request it in a certain way. You can, put protective measures in place, which is what I believe most people are doing with stones. I have stones. They're a really useful tool. There's so much to learn about crystals. I'm still studying. I'm still learning. But definitely a useful tool. You can also use anything. Intent is important. So you can say a prayer, you can say a little mantra, you can picture yourself surrounded in white light with the intent, that only high vibrational energy messages come in, right? Because otherwise you're just open And you can get good stuff, you can get not so good stuff, because there's a lot floating around that we don't know, we're not aware of necessarily. But when we open ourselves on the energetic realm, that everything's out there, right? So it is responsible, I think, on the part of any sort of energetic work, spiritual practitioner, to put some measures in place to make sure what they're bringing in is of the light, or you know what I mean. But yeah, just from doing tarot, I would say no. It's just any sort of energetic work that you do can open you up to all sorts of energy, good and bad. Okay. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, and thank you. It's gonna bother me now. See, this is why I'm not on camera a lot, because it's distracting. Sorry. Thank you. Moving on. I struggle understanding timelines. I know everyone is in a different place, but when you do a daily reading, what can the time scales be? That day to how far in the future, please? Love your readings. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, I assume, because it says Laura 1. Hi, Laura, and thank you. Tricky question. Timelines when it comes to tarot, in my experience, because I don't necessarily use it as a predictive tool to go, this is going to happen at this time. And you have different collective readings, which let's start there because that's what you're asking about, right? So daily energy readings, right? So that's for the collective. And you said, you know, that not everyone's on the same timeline. So how can we know when that's actually going to hit, who is going to hit, how it's going to apply, right? So first of all, if it resonates for you and it sounds like it's your message and it sounds like, okay, that's for me, then it depends what the situation is and how much control you have over it. If it's something where there's a lot of major arcanas involved, that tells me that there's a lot happening in the spiritual plane, in divine timing, meaning we don't have as much control, there's only so much we can do. Or it tells me there's a lot of people involved, they have their own lessons to learn, it's difficult to pinpoint what they're going to do, if they're going to do, when they're going to do. So in that case, we get a potential outcome. If this can happen, I can ask for specific messages. You can ask in a personal reading, they can be more specific because it's one person you're reading for, or if anyone else is involved, but still it's like 2 versus 2,000, right? And then you can ask, you can get specific, like tell me days, tell me months, tell me weeks, right? Or they'll tell you a season, or they'll tell you, depends how specific you want to get with it. But even with that, if it's just you involved, then that could be quite accurate. And you don't change what you're doing, you're you know, maintaining what you've been doing, and you follow the advice you've been given, then that's your timeline. Because remember, outcomes are like, this is the potential outcome if you keep doing what you're doing and you take the advice, right? You can do other things, in which case the outcome is void. Do you know what I mean? It no longer applies. Which is why sometimes outcomes don't happen and people get upset and they get angry and they say, you told me this would happen. Why hasn't it happened? And then you go, well, did you stop working on it? Did you stop doing the work? Did you apply the advice they gave you? Or is it a case of someone tells you this is going to happen by that point, you go, oh, cool, and you take your hands off it? Well, it's going to go downhill, because no, this is going to happen at that point if you keep doing what you've been doing and you incorporate these additional things. Does that make sense? Collective readings, because not everyone's on the same time scale. Again, if it's the same thing. If it's your message, if it resonates with you, it's just not necessarily, nothing's guaranteed, nothing's set in stone, because we have our free will and we can always change our minds with everything. But it's even less guaranteed, if we can say, the more people are involved in that reading, right? So I hope that makes sense. In terms of the daily, what I'm asking for, it's like taking a snapshot, okay? And for some people, that snapshot has already happened. For other people, they're in the middle of it. For other people, it's yet to come. And we're typically asking for a few days before or a few days after, right? If it's not on the day. That's my intent. That's what I'm asking for. And for some people, that's what applies. For other people, not so much, because again, general readings. But that's my intent. That's what I'm asking for, okay? So hopefully that answers your question. Timeline is a tricky one. We could do a whole separate video on timelines when it comes to tarot or any other form of divination. But I hope that answers your question. And just to give you some additional information, for example, how you would get specific. I changed the light bulb and I swear it smells like, I hope nothing's burning. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, swords are the fastest. It's like hours to days. Wands are, it's gonna blow again. Days, weeks. Cups could be months. Pentacles are the slowest, okay? It's gonna bother me now. Okay. We're just gonna keep going and do our best. Let me get through all the questions. Oh man, okay, but thank you. I hope that helps. All right, Mary. Oh, I remember your questions, Mary. Thank you for your questions. Those are loaded questions. I could do separate videos on them. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pause this. Hi, back. Harvey's here now. I literally had to change my light bulb. I swear I could smell burning. I don't know. I don't even know. We're just gonna keep going. Mary, your questions. Okay. Hi, and thank you for your questions. They are loaded questions, and I could do a whole separate video on them. But I'm gonna do the best I can to answer quickly. What's the origin of tarot? Short answer, I don't know. There's a lot of different theories. What I can tell you is I know it started as a parlor game. I think they had the major arcana just to start with, and then they added the pips, is what they call them, the minor arcana. But I don't know exactly where it originated. Some people say Egypt, some people say Europe, some people say nomads carried tarot, but they like from wherever they were going, but it's like no one knows where they got it from, basically, if that is the case. But yeah, basically, short answer, I'm still searching. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't quite know yet, okay? It's not, I haven't found a definitive, this is the origin of tarot, right? So sorry on that one, I'll keep you posted. Who are the spirit guides, higher beings that tarot readers keep referring to? Where does religion fall in all of this? Lots of questions. Interesting, deep questions. So I can only speak for myself. I don't know about other readers and who they're talking to, but you can read tarot like a, I don't know, like a sentence. Put words together, put cards together. You get the meanings of the cards because they don't change. And you could build sentences, and you don't really need a lot of intuition, or, you know, you could, if that's how you wanted to do it, you could. But most people rely on their intuition, which opens them up to their own spiritual team, which in my understanding, we have about 3 spirit guides and 1 or 2 angels in our spiritual team at any given point in time. That's Charlie in the chair. But that's just been my experience. Don't take what I say with a grain of salt, because it can only be my experience and my understanding. It's not absolute truth, I don't think, right? Everyone has their own different experiences. But this is what I've been told from my guides and my spiritual team, and what I've lived and experienced myself. And so yeah, most people rely on their spiritual team for either for messages or to help them make sense of how to put the cards together, how to put the messages together, right? And if you think about it, we're in the 3D reality. In my understanding, 4D is where our spirit guides are. Also kind of where our passed on loved ones would go first. And it's like a spectrum, because not all passed on loved ones are spirit guides. if they've recently passed, but then that could be months, even years sometimes, I don't know. And if it's not in their soul contract to keep going, right, then they only know the information that they knew when they passed on, right? Versus a spirit guide is someone who is prepared for that. Their soul is, it's a soul that was prepared for that. They have the knowledge, the wisdom. They can tap into wherever they need to get to the information, etc., right? And then 5D would be angelic realm, and then above would be archangels, etc. But yeah, that's the higher beings. That again, when I speak about it, that's what I mean. Spirit guides, angels. I don't know. I have opinions. I don't want to tell anyone how to do their work. I don't want to tell anyone who it is they're talking to. That's not my ministry. In my experience, archangels, for example, are not bothered with our day-to-day stuff. Like, that's not, you know, it's like you have your manager, first line manager, okay, an angel, or your team leader is like your spirit guide, right? And it's like going directly to the director of the company to tell you how to do your day job. That's kind of like, they look at you like, what? You should know that, or you should figure it. Why are you asking me? Like, ask me if you want to advance your career. Ask me if you want to, you know. That's I suppose a silly example, but that's something close to how I can describe it. I have heard people talk to archangels and be like, give me a deadline for this, and they'll be like, okay, 15th of whatever. And I go, okay, well, I hope you're talking to an archangel. That's all I can say. I don't know. You know, I don't know. That's not my experience, but maybe it's yours. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of, those are the higher beings, right? Basically, to answer your question. When talking about ancestral healing, again, how does that work? Is it karma associated with all of what our ancestors did? Short answer, yes. Longer answer, if it's our own, yes, definitely our karma that we've gathered, accumulated, are owed or owe other people throughout lifetimes, how many times we've incarnated, etc. And some lifetimes we were good people, some lifetimes we were bad people, because we had to go and experience a spectrum of experiences and lessons, right? And so in that sense, it would be our own background. But in terms of ancestry, right? If it's ancestry as in family, some people call it a soul tribe, a soul family. I don't know if you have a group of souls that's like how we would think of a traditional family, like you're together through all lifetimes in different roles potentially, but you're always together. That's not been my experience and my understanding. You can have a soul tribe and a soul family for a set lifetime, right? Where you sit together and you go, okay, who's going to do what and who wants to learn what, and I can do this for you and you can do that for me, and I can trigger this for you, you can trigger that for me, etc. And then maybe if you accumulate the past lives of those souls, you know, and then one goes, okay, well, I'll take it on, and I'll take one for the team. I'll have a difficult life, because then that pays off karma for all of us to where we can all be released from some contracts. And that would be ancestral healing, right? Paying off karma for a group of souls, if not for your own karma throughout the lifetimes, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope that it does. And it can be people we're not related to in this particular life, but at some point in a past life, maybe we were, or we were associated with them somehow, or on a soul level we're connected somehow. But yeah, and so in terms of how you would see that, is the balancing of scales of karma. And when we pay off karmic debt, we're released from some contracts, released from some burdens. You start experiencing a bit of an easier life, basically. Healthier relationships for you, for everyone else involved, right? Because that karma has been paid, so healing has happened, if you will, right? I hope I've explained that correctly. If not, please leave me a comment. I can dig into it further. If twin flames / soulmates come in one's life to teach one a lesson, which is similar to a karmic as well, what's the point of having a soulmate if they end up hurting you or being a catalyst to one's transformation or change? If a person is transformed, do they no longer need that soulmate? Mary, you got some really good questions. So first of all, a soulmate relationship is a karmic relationship, okay? Meaning you have karma together. That's why you're soulmates, meaning the souls are tied in a contract, okay? The souls are tied together. It says karmic relationship, yeah? A karmic partnership, a karmic contract, if you will. Twin flames, I'm still looking into it, researching it, trying to figure out for myself. I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel. I haven't made up my mind. I don't have enough information to have a solid opinion on it at this point in time, to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about one soul being split into, when the whole point of everything is to make your soul whole, for you to be whole. So I'm not quite sure. I need to dig further on twin flames, okay? Because I don't know. I think some things, to be completely honest with you, some things have been made up by some people. That's how I feel, personal opinion. Might not be popular, but I think some people just invented some things to seem like they know more than others, and then people have to go to them, tell them what to do, and then I don't know. See how you feel about things for yourself. Do your own research. That's always good advice. But soulmates, yes, souls tied together in a contract. What's the point of having one? Well, if they end up hurting you or being a catalyst to one's transformation, well, that's the whole point, for them to be a catalyst for one's transformation and change and healing. The thing with that is, more often than not, as humans, we learn through pain, or we learn because of pain. We learn because we have to, not because we want to, most of the time. Not the painful lessons. Who wants that, right? But on a soul level, you're like, yeah, I'll do it. I want to learn forgiveness on a soul level. And then some other soul comes up and they say, well, I want to learn, I don't know, regret, remorse. I want to learn what that's like, where that comes from, how that happens. So two of you come together and you go, cool, I'll trigger this in you, you trigger that in me. Happy days. And then in this reality, you come together and you do what you agreed to do on a soul level. You trigger each other, right? Now, this does not excuse any bad behavior or abuse. In the 3D reality, we have to separate the two, okay? However, on a soul level, everyone's doing what they agreed to do, right? I'm not the bad guy, you're not the bad guy, we just agreed to do some things, we're doing it. As humans, we don't have that awareness, and as humans, all we know is that it hurts and it sucks, but that's part of it, right? So yeah, and then as soon as we trigger each other, thing is, sometimes it's enough for someone to come in, trigger once, and then we start the process. Sometimes not so much, and we end up repeating lessons and getting triggered and triggered and triggered to the point where we end up at breaking point. I've had enough. What the hell am I doing? Why does this keep happening? What am I doing? What am I not getting? Why, when we start asking those questions, but we're centered on ourselves, focused on ourselves. What can I do differently? Where does this come from? Is this pain? Is this trauma? Why am I always drawn to this? Where does that come from? When we start asking those questions, we have started the healing process, because it's taking us down a rabbit hole that we can't come out of unless we're changed. And we can't drop it. We can't let it go. We can't pretend. Once we open our eyes to some things, we can't close them back up, right? We can't pretend like we don't know. And so that just takes us through the process to that process to the outcome of healing, learning a lesson, healing. Now that soulmate has done his job, his or her job, coming in and hurting us and triggering us. So therefore, yes, they've served their purpose. They're no longer required. Okay, now they can stick around in case we need to be tested or whatever. But once we got that lesson and we did the work and we have healed, one way you'll know is A, you're not going to be drawn to the same type of individual. B, they're not going to have the same influence on you somehow, and that's how you know. Now, you could have soulmates that, you agreed to learn true love together. Those are the types that can come in and stay in your life, right? More often than not, come in, trigger, they disappear because they've served their purpose. I don't necessarily recommend romanticizing spiritual relationships. I think people kind of run away with it, and I think we get ourselves into trouble because we ask for things that we don't know what we're asking about. When people ask for soulmates, they get soulmates, but it's those individuals, because I have to keep it PG-13, that keep hurting you. And you go, why does this keep happening to me? I just want my soulmate. And the universe goes, there you go. I mean, I'm giving you what you want. I don't understand what your issue is. Because we don't know what we're asking for, basically, right? So we can get ourselves into a lot of trouble. Or, oh, they're not a soulmate, so I don't want to be with them. Careful. Careful. I got opinions on that, okay? No one asked for set opinions, necessarily. So I'm just going to leave it there, because I think I've kind of covered your question in terms of what the purpose is. To trigger, and as soon as we start the journey towards healing and understanding the lesson, opening ourselves up to it, accepting it, understanding it, doing the work, they disappear, or they don't have the same importance in our lives somehow. Okay, and one more thing I will say on soulmates is we as humans, and I'm including myself in all of this because I'm human, right? But we as humans often mistake that magnetic attraction between us and another, between us and a soulmate. We mistake it as love, okay? Why? Because love is probably the deepest, more intense energy that we as humans can experience, okay, or are capable of, right? Love, true love, okay? And so when a soulmate comes in with that magnetic attraction, we go, I've never felt this way. This feels right. This feels perfect. This feels amazing. This feels wonderful. I've never had this with anyone else. It must be that this is the love of my life. Because that's the deepest emotion. That's, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? But in reality, that magnetic attraction is just that. It's a magnetic attraction to ensure that we find each other in a lifetime so that we can trigger each other and start the healing process. Does that make sense? So that's another thing to be mindful of in terms of soulmates. And what you'll find is, from experience, after you've done what you needed to do and you've learned what you needed to learn and you've healed what you needed to heal as a result of that soulmate triggering you, they can still be around your life, but you don't have the same pull to them anymore, right? And that's how you know you learned the lesson, right? So I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. And if you have any follow-ups, comment, let me know. We could do another video, because you had, Mary, some very interesting, intelligent, not that all the other questions have not been intelligent, but like, let me think, thinkers, okay? Thinkers. Go deep. They go deep, okay? So we could do a whole separate video on questions like that, okay? But I hope for now I've answered your questions, okay? And thank you so much for posting them. Okay, let's move on. Sammy Whammy. Hi, and thank you for your question. During a reading, do you get a feeling that what the cards are showing is from the past or is yet to come? Short answer, yes. Not sure how to explain it. Again, we go back into the claircognizance. But short answer, yes. Yes, I can tell if this has already happened. Sometimes I can tell if it's happened if it almost happened before, but it didn't quite. I can pick up on that kind of energy, I suppose. Okay. So short answer, yeah, I can. I'm just gonna think if I want to say most of the time or all of the time. I think it's, yeah, kind of let's say most of the time, just in case I'm forgetting any occasion when I can pinpoint it. But most of the time, yeah, it's pretty clear to me. If not from the cards that are coming out, from the positions, the layout, the spread I'm using, or just the feeling that I'm getting, okay? And it's usually, I'll get a feeling and then I'll see it in the cards as well. It'll be confirmed, you know? And that's how I know that I'm on the right track. So you get repeating cards, or But yeah, thank you for your question. I hope that answers it. King Kobe. Hi, King Kobe. Were you ever a Christian? Were you ever worried about what people would think about your spirituality? Maybe they think you're a cultist or something. Well, LOL. I am a Christian, technically. I feel more like a Buddhist, if you ask me. I don't know. As a Pisces sun, I'm iffy with labels anyway, because I don't think anything's absolute. And any kind of extreme, I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But so it's like, I don't believe one thing explains all. I don't believe one thing is right and others are not. Because that's just not my experience. That's just not what I've seen and what I've lived. But technically, I am a Christian. In terms of religion, it has its purpose. It has its place. I can understand the concept of it, the need of it at some point in time, how it started versus how it's going. I've always had my own relationship with God, if that makes sense. I'm aware of the book. I'm aware of the teachings. I'm aware. It just, I'll respect and honor what makes sense to me. What doesn't resonate with me whatsoever, I feel like a hypocrite for doing it, so I won't do it. I won't necessarily go against anything or go out of my way to, I just go, that's not for me. But yeah, I have my own relationship with God, and that's kind of how I've been raised. I think, like my mom, for example, she wouldn't say you have to go to church, because if you don't pray in church, God won't hear you. She was like, you can pray wherever, God will hear you. If you can't kneel down and you're still praying, God will hear you. If you can't do the sign of the cross, God will still hear you, right? That's how I was raised. And I really took that on because it made sense to me, right? I just thought, yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I don't understand why, Absolutely, there are holy places. Absolutely, there are blessed places and blessed and touched people, touched by God. Absolutely, I've seen it. They have their energy. My point is, if, you can pray wherever. You don't have to be in a church for it to have meaning, for it to have power, right? So just a little example. And in terms of worried about whether people, I mean, other people believe whatever they want to believe. I've learned who are my people and who are not my people, and I got nothing against people who are not my people. Everyone's on their own journey, on their own path. But for example, if I know someone is very religious, I'm not going to talk to him about tarot, because I'm not going to get anywhere with them, right? If they never questioned any of the beliefs that they were taught, right? They just took them on, and that's what they believe. That's their life. And then they just don't even filter it through themselves. That's just how they live their life. There's just nothing wrong. If that's what makes them happy, that's what feels right for them. Absolutely. I'm not here telling anyone what to believe or how to live their life. My point is, if I know how you feel about a topic, and I know that you're not one to even entertain a different perspective on that topic, why would I get myself into a conversation with you on that? Because it's not even going to be a conversation. It will be me trying to share information with you, and you sitting there thinking I'm trying to convince you of something, right? Or I'm trying to make you doubt your faith, because that's the terms you process things in. Why would I do that to myself, right? Why would I do that to you? We can just respect each other's beliefs, not talk about certain subjects. That doesn't mean I'm hiding. That doesn't mean I'm ashamed. That doesn't mean I actually care what you think. It just means I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I know my intent. I know where my heart is. And I know that not everyone's going to get it. And I'm okay with that. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I don't have to prove anyone right, anyone wrong. I'm not out here to change people's minds and to change people's beliefs. You do you, I do me, right? And that's it. I have different friends of different faiths, and sometimes we can talk about it, other times not so much, and that's okay. We still respect each other, and that's why we're still friends, right? But yeah, people have all sorts of reactions and all sorts of preconceptions because, well, because of either their limited experience with it, their bad experience with someone like that, or people just kind of clump together a bunch of random stuff because they don't know enough about it, right? So it just comes down to ignorance, as any other form of distrust or violence, or it just comes down to ignorance. I don't know enough about it, but someone's telling me it goes against what I'm supposed to believe. And then people don't know enough about themselves to have their own opinion. It's a whole big thing, right? But was I worried about it? Nah. Nah. If you ask questions, you'll have questions, ask me questions. I'll tell you. I'll answer you. How you feel about it and what you do with it, up to you. Right? But yeah, I know what I'm doing, and I know I'm proud of what I'm doing, and I'm proud of who I am. So I'm not hiding, but I'm not going to antagonize anyone either, and I'm not going to force it down someone's throat either. If I feel I'm in an environment with people where they can entertain other perspectives and they're open-minded, you'd be surprised how many people say they're open-minded when they're not. To them, being open-minded means hearing you out but not really processing, because while you're talking, they just confirm and reconfirm what they already believe. So that's not really being open-minded, right? But if I feel I'm in an environment where people are curious or they can entertain a different perspective, if anyone asks, or if they're not, I might mention it, like tarot or anything related to spirituality, and I'll leave it there. If anyone has questions, if anyone's curious, happy to have a conversation. I won't force it. I won't, And I find that's really the way to not necessarily change people's minds about things, but just give them more information to where they're actually open to it. It's not forced on them. They don't feel defensive about it. If they go away and they think, I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to look at it again, that's absolutely fine. At least they entertained it for a minute. They made up their mind about it, right? But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that, right? I hope that answers your question. But yeah, you get all sorts of reactions. Okay, so thank you. Let's move on. Jen, I think it's Jen. How long have you been reading tarot cards? Do you ever feel like spirits or entities come through after a reading? You can use my name. Thank you. Hi, Jen, and thank you for your readings. Hi, thanks. So yeah, I've been reading tarot cards for like 21, 22 years. Learning every day, studying every day, practicing every day. Do you ever feel like spirits? I think, yeah, short answer, yes. Before, during, and after. So for example, if I have to do a personal reading, I'll get messages for that person before I actually sit down and do the reading, more often than not, okay? And if I don't pass on all the messages that I have for that person, it lingers to where I have to send them another email and go, yeah, sorry, just to be clear, this and this and this, or just had something else to add, or, something like that. But yeah, they do come through. Because I don't know, that's just, I suppose, how I receive my information. I don't know if it's the same for everyone. But yeah. Again, I'm just going to reinforce the importance of being responsible when doing energy work and cleansing and clearing your energy, your space, your cards, crystals, so that you can ensure that A, you're safe, you're protected, and B, what you're asking for, the way you define it, comes from the light, right? As opposed to just random stuff, right? But yeah, that's, yeah, in short, okay. yeah, I'm just thinking, like, for example, there was a time, uh, I do have like mediumship abilities. I suppose I haven't looked into it specifically because I didn't really want to. It's creepy, and scary sometimes. It can be, but I do have, you know, that inclination, if you will. And yeah, sometimes someone's passed on loved one came through, and then the reading was done, and they were still hanging around. And I'm like, what's up? What are you doing? You know, don't you got places to be? Like, what? So yeah, we had to have a little conversation. It was part that they were a little lonely, but it was also part of, I'm not sure I want to go on because I don't know where I'm going, and you know, it's a little scary. So then you just have a little chat and encourage them, you know, you'll be okay, you're going someplace good, your family's taken care of, you did your job, you did good, and then they can move on. But yeah, definitely they come through all the time, before, during, and after. So I hope that answers your question, Jen, and thank you. All right, next, I don't know your name because that's a bunch of letters and numbers, so I'm sorry. How did you know reading tarot was your calling? Did you have haters at the start? Love from Northern Ireland. Hi, I love Northern Ireland. People say I sound Irish when I curse, which is hilarious. I do hear it though. I don't have any Irish background as far as I know, but who knows, right? I think I've been around the block a few lifetimes, so I'm maybe. How did I know it was my calling? The way I look at it is, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say tarot is my calling. I would say my calling has more to do with helping, teaching, healing, right? And tarot is a way I do that. One of the many ways I can do that, right? It's one of the tools I can use to fulfill that calling or life purpose, if you will. I've definitely taken to it. Like, you can see that's part of my collection in the background. You can either say you have a passion or a problem. They both start with a P. It just depends how you want to call it. I have a passion, okay? You ask anyone else, they might say different, but I have a passion. They'd be like, why do you need more than one deck? Oh my God, how long do you have? Because I can tell you. It's true. It's a beautiful tool to use. You can use it a lot of different ways, and a lot of different people use it a lot of different ways. Some good, some not so good, some not so responsible. So I don't know. Watch yourself out there, okay, in terms of who you listen to. But it's so versatile. It's so complex. It's timeless because it's been around for as long as it's been around, and it will be it will be around forever, I think, because the more you learn about it, the more in depth you go with it, right? You can never say, oh, I know everything I need to know about tarot now. And people who say that, I don't know what to tell you. Because you can always learn more. Like if you incorporate astrology into it, if you incorporate numerology into it, if you incorporate psychology into it, you know, you like color therapy, that everything's been thought out. I don't know if someone sat down, if Mr. Rider from the Rider-Waite tarot deck, if Mr. Rider and Mr. Waite, if they sat down and channeled some messages, or I don't know how they came up with it, because it's all encompassing. It really is, you know. So yeah, I'm passionate about it. It helps me do what I want to do. It helps me do what I feel like should be doing. But it's not the only tool I use, you know. It's one I really like. Did you have haters at the start? Probably. Who has time for them? Who cares? I don't ask myself these questions because I don't really care, to be honest with you. And even people who comment and are just being snide or being mean or being rude or being entitled or being stupid, excuse me, I don't, just delete, hide off the channel, go somewhere else. Because genuinely, what do you have to contribute, right? What do you have to do? Nothing. So therefore, why would I even care who you are? Why would I even care what you think? It's like, you know, someone who has no clue what you do telling you're doing a bad job. Why, why would that have weight to me? Why would I care what you think when you don't even know what I do? So how does that make sense? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it does come with practice. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't always this confident and like, I got it. Don't worry. It comes with practice and a lot of work. Because there are, you know, things and people that do get to you, and we're only human. But you just have to remind yourself who you are, what you're doing. Ask yourself, who is that person to me? Should it matter what they're saying? And if it really hit home that hard, what is in there that I need to look at? You know what I mean? That is so raw still, that a random stranger that I've never met and probably never will, because it's on the internet, had that effect on me, right? So I just bring it back to me. If a random stranger bothered me that much, what does that tell me? Like, what is there for me to look at and address because it's still raw within me, right? So I suppose I use hater as a tool. I use haters as a tool for self-reflection. Most of the time, though, it's got nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to make it to do with me. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably did have haters. I don't know. I just didn't care. So I hope that answers your question. And thank you. Okay. If you have any follow-ups or anything, let me know. All right. Let's see. Okay, we have some feedback here. Thank you, Marisol, for your feedback. Thank you, A Different Kind of Country, for your feedback. And then we have, is it Alistair? Hi, how do you go about the energy when you start a reading? For everyone having a question in mind, and for everyone having a question in mind and are online. Or are the readings timeless? All of your readings have resonated so far. Okay. Well, thank you. That's good to know. So how I go about a reading, it's about intent. Okay, so I define what I want to get from that reading and who I want to get it for. The way I phrase things is for my subscribers, for my viewers, and for anyone who needs to receive this message. The readings are timeless. We can try to narrow it down and go, just give me like a day's period. Just give me like looking at week ahead, looking at month ahead. So we can try to narrow it down. And again, it's divine timing and it's collective. So for some, it'll resonate one way, for others a different way. We just have to keep an open mind about that. But I set the intention. That's how I go about it, right? I set the intention. I want to receive messages for the highest good of, you know, my subscribers, my viewers, and whoever needs to receive this message. The readings are timeless because it's my belief, and that's also kind of how I approach it, that everyone will find their way to the video. Everyone that's supposed to find their way to this video to get the messages that they need to get out of this video, they will find their way to it when they need to. Like when they reach that point and they have those questions that this video will answer, this video will pop up for them somewhere, right? And that's, again, what I've seen, what I've experienced, and how I set the intention for my work, okay? We can do, if, for example, because I've done stuff like what you need to know, or pick a card readings are another good way, to where you can pause the video in the beginning and I tell you, think of your question and pick a number, right? See what you're drawn to. And that way people also get involved and use their own discernment and their own free will to set their own intention of, okay, I want to get messages from number 2, right? And then I just deliver the messages, right? And then sometimes all numbers resonate, sometimes one resonates, another 2 of them, I don't know. But again, I find that people are going to be guided to their messages in their own time, okay? If that makes sense. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know. But yeah, okay, that's all the questions we had. And I hope this was fun. I hope this was informative. I hope I haven't confused anyone any more than they were. I hope, you know, you found some useful information here. And again, comment, let me know what you think. You know, if I've answered your question, if you have a follow-up, if you want me to be more clear or more specific on something. If you want to do more of these kinds of videos, it's fine. I don't often get on camera because it's, I don't know, it's not something I'd rather not. But every now and again is absolutely fine. I'll come on, say hi, and we can have a chat, okay? And some coffee that now has gone cold because I haven't drank it. But this is my mug, or my bowl of coffee. But yeah, okay, it was fun chatting with you. Thank you for the questions, for all the questions, because they get me thinking. They make me test myself. They make me check myself. They make me dig deep and think about some things, okay, which is the whole point of questions, right? Of asking questions. So I appreciate you asking all the questions that you have. And I hope you got your answers. I hope you got something out of this video. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It's almost Christmas, so thank you for being with me this year, for as long as you have, you know, whenever it is that you found me, for sharing your experiences, your feedback with me, your stories, for exchanging energy, so that I can read for you and you can get messages that feel that make sense to you, right? Because it has to be a two-way street. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you. I want to wish you all Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate. And yeah, be kind and compassionate with discernment, because some people don't deserve it. That just means you wish them well and you send them on their way, right? We don't hate, we don't, you know, but we don't take them on board either, okay? We have boundaries. But with you, first and foremost, and then with your loved ones and people who deserve it, right? Show kindness, show compassion, and love, which is what especially this time of year is really all about. It's not just about presents, right? Yeah, say some prayers if you can. I don't know. But yeah, I hope we all have a fantastic year ahead. More stuff to come, more readings to come, more videos to come. So again, thank you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.